Let's see. Oh, kind of let me.
Oh, it's Instagram style.
Yeah, it's Instagram style. Hey, so this is Jason Morris, and I'm here with Mark Leck. He's the CEO of Redx. So Mark, tell us a little bit about the company. I mean, everybody's a little bit familiar with Redx, but tell us a little bit about how you ended up being in the real estate agent data business.
Sure. And in full disclosure here, this is my first Facebook Live, so
This is
if I'm a little bit
one,
nervous.
so it's okay. This is my second one.
Yeah, so I got started with Redx when I was 21 years old. My background is in software development. I was a computer programmer professionally. I love solving problems, so I ended up getting connected with a couple guys who were involved in the for sale by owner space. And they had been getting a lot of demand. This is in 2003 for people who were interested in working for sale by owner leads, wanting to also go work expired lead. And so they came to me and said, hey, if we can figure this out, we think we have a way to sell it. Can you come up with a system that would allow us to do the research to locate the missing contact information for expired leads, and we can make a business? So I ended up dropping out of college. I was studying electrical engineering at the time, did a bunch of research, and came up with the solution, and did that 13 years ago. So this has been going on for a long time now. I love doing it. We love seeing agents sort of get over the challenge of finding a sustainable source of business. And we think prospecting is probably one of the best solutions for them.
Well, that's one of the things I keep talking about is that, every agent, we need something that when you got to have a lead source that you just show up to the office and you're just ready to go. You're not having to think about it. You're not having to figure out how to do it. And, oh, yeah, cheer on me. Look, we had like 12 people watching a minute ago. But, and I use Redx personally, but, Mark, so like when you, I'm a subscriber. How do we ensure that for my money that I'm paying monthly, I'm getting the best data that's possible? Tell us a little bit about that. I thought that story was pretty interesting.
Yes, and we've been chatting about this a lot since you've been out here, so I'll try to give somewhat of a concise answer. So every company out there that's selling this type of data, they have to put something in their marketing materials, right? And what we notice is that a lot of our competition out there, because they buy data from other companies, they end up regurgitating sort of marketing content that they get from their data sources. So when you see things like 95, we'll give you phone numbers on 95% of the leads. Well, anybody who's actually prospected expireds on a regular basis knows that you do not get a hold of 95% of the expired leads in your market on any service that's out there. So where did that marketing come from? Well, it came from all of these other real estate or all these other data sources out there. About 5-6 years ago, we wanted to develop a scientific method of figuring out how good was the data. And we worked with some professors here at a local university, worked with some PhDs in statistics in order to measure quality the way our customers wanted it. And so that first had to come with the definition. Well, what is the way that your clients view sort of quality data? And the answer was simple. It was, look, if you gave this client 100 expired leads, what is the probability, what is the likelihood that that customer would be able to get in contact with those expired leads? What percentage of those leads would they get in contact with? And we called this measurement Octane, just like Octane is sort of a measurement of the quality of the fuel you stick in your car. We figured it was a good measurement of the quality of the leads. And so anyways, we developed this measurement, and we used it to measure our own data quality as well as the quality of our competitors, as well as the quality of all these other online sites that some of our clients go to.
And Octane is, you told me about this. Can we talk about what Octane is?
Yeah, so Octane is a measurement of the probability that if I give a reasonable effort, if I call a lead up to 3 times, what is the likelihood that I'm going to get in touch with that homeowner. And I'm obviously a high analytical,
so we're talking about reasonable here, and we're talking about it being 3 times. So I mean, and guys in my group, I mean, I've been telling you guys that you need to follow up with people like 6 to 8 times at a minimum. And Mark's talking about their data quality control is based off 3 times. So basically, the more you call these numbers, the more people you're going to get on the phone, and the more people.
Absolutely, yeah. So Octane, for us to do this statistical analysis, we had to figure out what is a reasonable effort. But certainly, if you make more than 3 phone calls, your probability that you're going to get a hold of the homeowner is going to increase. But it's amazing how many people are once and done. They call the lead at 8:30, and if they're not at their house at 8:30 that morning, they give up. And if I just think of my own life, how often I'm not at my house at 8:30 in the morning, that's a pretty big amount of my time. So I'm getting a little distracted. I'm seeing hearts and other stuff going on here, and I don't know if I have to.
Yeah, look at this follow-up's where the money is. I mean, that's exactly right. That's where the money is. So, okay, Octane, and I know we can't talk about competitors or anything because
I can talk about industry standards.
We can talk about industry standards. Okay. Well, what would you say like the average industry standard is for a product that's say under $100?
Okay, so if you are buying an expired service and paying less than $100 a month, and it's not Redx, according to the research that we've done, the average Octane that you'll get, the average probability you're going to get a hold of the homeowner if you call them 3 times is about 16 to 18%. And I'll bet you money if anybody's listening to this who's prospected regularly before, they go, yeah, that's about right. If I call on 100 leads, I might get a hold of 18% of those or something like that. Our standard service is 26%.
26%
Yes.
with the standard service. Wow.
And you can, and our non-standard service is a lot better than that.
Can we talk about the secret product?
Yeah. It's not secret. It's just
I feel like
it's just by invitation only.
It's by invitation only. So I almost feel like we should show the guy across the room saying that, hey, I don't know if you should talk about it now. So we got these guys. We're actually sitting in a room full of people. So it's funny. We've been doing interviews here, and we've been talking about different products and product creation with Redx. And I asked Mark if he would do this live because I was getting a lot of questions about it.
And I didn't want to.
And he didn't want to. He was forced to. But, I mean, even look behind us. Their office is beautiful. It has beautiful views back there. So, Mark, this new invitation only is called Onyx.
Yeah, it's our premium data service.
So we talked about Octane, and we talked about what the...
Not new.
It's not new. That is sort of the correction. It's been out for a long time now.
Yeah, it was just a secret. It was invitation only, and you had to be, I don't want to say chosen, but you had to apply for it.
Yeah, I mean, what happened was, and I'm being totally candid here, but there's a lot of chatter that goes on online, and one of the things that's hard to do is make everybody happy, right?
Yeah.
And so we were noticing that we would get into our product would get into a lot of discussions online about data quality and stuff like that. And when we went out to develop Onyx, which is supposed to be this premium data service, we didn't want a bunch of people offering opinions about it who really shouldn't be offering opinions about it because they don't consistently prospect. And so our solution to it was just to invite current customers of ours who have a lot of experience prospecting into the Onyx platform. And so that was sort of the reason why, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, Onyx, what do you have to do? I know I get asked some questions about Onyx. What do you have to do to be able to subscribe to Onyx?
Yeah, so Yeah, basically, what we want to know is that you've got a lot of prior experience prospecting.
And you can tell us whatever you want to, Mark. There's just 6 of us in the room, and there's only 3,000 people in my group. Right. So all of us are friends, so it's all going to be a secret.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to talk about it outside of the group.
Yeah. Why do I feel like my arm's getting twisted here a little bit? So look, I think that the thing is we want everybody obviously on Onyx, right? I mean, it is the best data solution we think out there for working expireds, but the challenge is we really want people who have experience prospecting, because people who have prospected consistently in the past will actually appreciate and recognize the difference in data quality. What we don't want is we don't want brand new agents who have never prospected a day in their life to hop onto Onyx and go, man, I called some numbers and they were wrong numbers. We're like, well, duh. That's what happens when you call expired sometimes. I mean, you do get wrong numbers. This is sort of the nature of the game, and it's the reason why, top producing agents become highly successful is they understand the numbers game, they work through it, they pound through it. So we want agents who have real experience prospecting. That's it. There's this fallacy in the industry that you can create an exclusive expired product, and it's a false idea, because the data is inherently not exclusive. It's all over your MLS, right?
Well, I mean, you guys are mining exclusive data sources, though. I mean,
What's that?
You're mining your own data sources, not
true.
Third party, but you're also mining your own that you guys are creating and compiling, right?
Yeah, so Redx is unique in the sense that we are our own data provider. We definitely buy data from other sources, but we also aggregate our own data, and that makes us unique and sets us apart a little bit. But in fairness, I mean, even if I guess the point I'm trying to make is that I think people need to. The idea that somebody can make something truly exclusive around expired leads is a false idea in my mind, because the data is inherently public and available, right? It's still there. You can still go find it. That's right. And so it's not, when we went by invitation only, it had nothing to do with the idea of we're going to somehow limit agents to only get the expired data. You can't do that. The expired data is in your. We just want to limit it to people who have experience, because we think that will help us maintain the integrity of the brand.
And we had a guy ask just a second ago, Chris Johnson. He's actually in my market. I don't know if I want Chris to have it. But Chris asked, what's your definition of a lot of prospecting? Or agents that have done a lot of prospecting.
Yeah, that's a great point. What's that?
I was going to say, just have them if they call into our sales department, they'll walk them through a series of questions.
Yeah. So, but in terms of what I think it's somebody who has spent weeks, if not months, prospecting multiple, up to 4 to 5 times a week. I mean, it's got to be somebody, and maybe from a principal standpoint, it's somebody who genuinely understands the numbers game. What's funny is, 13 years ago when we started the business, we were automating a process people were doing by hand, right? 13 years ago, and if there's agents on here who have been in business that long, agents were actually doing this research on their own, right?
I remember doing that.
They were hiring assistants, or they were logging in and checking tax records. A lot of those agents aren't around anymore, don't exist, but man, when we came out on the market, they were like, thank you. I can have my assistant work on something else, or I can do this. Nowadays, agents don't think that way, right? So all of those agents who did the research on their own, they totally understood the nature of expireds.
Oh, that's
right?
how I found you guys. I mean, I'd spend 3 or 4 hours. I'd spend 3 or 4 hours looking up numbers to call for like an hour, and then when I found you guys have never had a price increase.
No.
I mean, I'm paying. For just the regular service.
We had one at about 18 months being in business. We had one.
Oh.
Full disclosure.
So I was I think for expireds and for sale by owners, no dialer or anything, I'm paying $79. So I mean, if you've got an assistant working, getting paid $10 an hour, that only pays it for eight hours.
Right.
You can't afford to look them up yourself.
Right. Well, and that was the pitch back in the day, is either, not that we have anything against assistants or anything like that, but if you were hiring an assistant just to do this research, we thought we were much more more cost-effective option. But my point in bringing that up is that 13 years ago, people who had done this research before really understood what expireds were all about. Fast forward to 2016, 95% of the agents who call us up would never even fathom the idea that they would do this research manually. That would just be so foreign to them. And the result is some of them don't understand that when you are searching for a property owner and all you've got to work with is an address, is that it's not always, there's not always that phone number there. So it is all about trying to have the best guess, the best, it's all about trying to find that homeowner and using the best data possible to do that. And that's what the science is all about. And I think that the challenge is helping new agents understand that. What we love about experienced agents, and the reason we try to limit Onyx to agents who have that experience, is that once they understand that, then they become focused on not, oh, did I get a wrong number, but how much money do I make every time I get a wrong number? That's a great mindset. When you've got an agent who's sitting there saying, every time I dial a wrong number, I made $20. I'm going to keep calling wrong numbers
You gotta
all
average it
day
out.
long.
You got to figure out what your earning per hour is.
Yeah.
You know, like the for sale by owner story I was telling you that I figured I was making.
Arthur said I'm grandfathered into the old price, so he's bragging about. Yeah,
that's good. He's been
he's been there a
customer
long time.
13 years. You know,
Chris Johnson.
Chris Johnson wanted to know if you guys were going to be reaching out. Let's see if I can find it. Is there going to be someone at Redx reaching out to subscribers offering Onyx based on tracked usage?
Yes, as a matter of fact, that is the plan. That's a great question. We got a lot of things we're working on. He's been through and looked at our dev shop, but basically, that is the plan that we have here moving forward. Is that we'll look at the usage in an individual's account and then invite them to come into Onyx. So. Yeah.
So Lala asked, what service is recommended for new agents?
So look, we love our standard service. We would recommend that for new agents.
I mean, the standard service, you were talking about Octane a minute ago, and for you guys that just logged in and you were talking about, you missed us talking about Octane, you probably got to watch the beginning of this again.
Sure.
But Mark explained what Octane was, and he explained that, I want to show Mark, you guys can see me all the time. But he explained what Octane was, and their standard service, other services in the industry were like 16 to 18%. Their standard service was it 25%?
Yeah, 26%.
It was a lot. I mean,
that's
it's
1 in 4, right?
Yeah.
So you got 100 leads, you get a hold of 25. I mean, I don't think there's an internet lead source out there you can buy that's going to have that level of opportunity for somebody. I liked somebody here made a point about people doing the extra step and going after door knocking on properties, and you and I were talking about that before. It's amazing how many of our top producing clients, agents who are making $250,000 a year or more, will actually do that third step. And I'm amazed because I used to sort of have this idea in my head that if you were this top producing agent, that you sort of got above certain things, like, oh, that I would never go door knock anymore. But I meet some of these top producing agents and they're like, heck yeah, I'll door knock. You know, I'm driving all around the neighborhood, and if all of a sudden I know that I've tried every way possible to get a hold of that property owner and there's no other way to do it, there's no phone, there's no other method, I'm going to go knock the door because I'm going to be the only agent that ever knocks that door. I love that, and I've been totally surprised seeing how many agents do that.
Well, Lala wants to know, is there a Jason Morris discount? So if you call Redx and say, hey, Jason Morris sent me, they will offer you guys some specials and some special stuff. Yep. And all kind of cool things. So Mark, I know you got a busy day, man. You're right. I'll tell you guys, one thing I was impressed with was we went around the office and we looked at I looked at everything, and Mark has a massive team here, and they're doing quality control, and they're doing so much stuff. And you said something a minute ago. I don't think we've talked about it in the live thing here, but how many numbers have you guys called? And I think it was the last 5 years to check the quality of your data. So they're not. I want you guys to know they're not just throwing out data out there. and just letting us call it. They're actually verifying their data and all this stuff. So, Mark, what are you guys doing to verify data other than Octane? Like, how many numbers have you guys called as a company?
Well, I mentioned earlier, so I think if they can go back and watch this again later.
Watch about Octane.
So earlier in the recording, I made the point that we hired a professor of statistics to help us come up with this more scientific method of evaluating data quality, and ultimately, though, when he talked to us and said, how do we measure the quality of the data? His response was, you got to do what the agents do. You got to call these numbers. So over the last 6 years, we've called nearly a million phone numbers. And we have spent tens of thousands of dollars on data studies, probably more, probably well over $100,000, just trying to call these numbers and figure it out. And we call them the way you do. We're not trying to set listing appointments is maybe the only difference, but we're trying to figure out if the person we're talking to...
quality control.
Yeah, it's all QA. And it's...
Yeah, they have a call center here that's... they actually have a call center here that's... it's massive. There's a lot of people. There's like 50 or 60 people that work here. I didn't know what to expect when I showed up. I told you that.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect. And it's an amazing office. It's really high tech. Yeah, it's really cool. So what is your product for old expireds a year or a few years back? Let's say like they're a brand new subscriber, they want to go back. Because I talk about this a lot, like the leads that maybe expired like 2 years ago, the person they were probably overpriced, maybe they decided to rent it or whatever. So will your service go back in time and grab those leads from a year ago?
What we do on that, we know that there's other people out there that charge you to go look at old expireds. Our system just allows you to go put that data into it and look it up as far back as you want. Again, we can't make this data exclusive. So if you're a current subscriber of ours, you call in and say, hey, I want to look up past data. Our support team will walk you through doing some exports of that information off your MLS.
So all they have to do is call you.
Yeah, they call us, throw the data into the system. We'll do the research on the phone numbers, try to identify if they've sold or relisted. And then you can start making phone calls.
And if they have any problems, we're going to give your cell phone number out on here where you can just call Mark directly.
Yeah, no, you won't. That's why I pay for an 800 line and have a call center.
See, on the old system, you uploaded the CSV and ran the search. I think that was a long time ago.
Let's see, on the old system, you upload the CSV. No, she's right. I mean, so the thing is in each of the markets, we're trying to find you the new expireds that are coming up each day. And we've not sort of done a concierge service that goes back and automatically finds you all the old stuff. And part of that is 90% of our clients struggle with developing a rhythm, just prospecting each day the new stuff, let alone doing some of the more advanced things like going back and finding the old stuff. So if you are using our system on a regular basis anyways, a lot of our clients already have 6 months, 12 months worth of data that already represents old expireds. They ought to just start calling right away.
So they can call right back, but for the new subscribers that won't maybe...
Just log into your MLS, you're going to do some past expired exports, throw them into our system, and we'll do the searching, just like Arthur said.
Oh, this is a great question here. This is something we've talked about. What makes Redx better than Vulcan 7?
Okay, we just got hit with it. We recorded a video on this. So that's a great question. We get asked it a lot. We have a different philosophy than Vulcan 7 does when it comes to locating or providing this type of service. And fundamentally, Vulcan 7 is focused on reducing the number of bad numbers, which means that if you think that you've got a bad number or you're not sure that it's the right number and you hold that number back, you're going to reduce over time the number of opportunities. So we may or may not have a few Vulcan 7 accounts of our own, but we noticed in certain markets with Vulcan 7 that they were only delivering 25% of the expireds. So what I mean by that is if you're not paying attention, you'll log in and you'll find out, hey, I got X number of new expireds in my account, with this service provider, and if you actually go log onto your MLS, you would discover there was a lot more expireds that were available on your MLS. Well, when we noticed that and called to them, we said, look, what's going on? There's 500 expireds over the last month in our MLS, but we only saw 125 of them. Are we getting all the data in our area? The response was, well, look, we just couldn't find the data on that. And part of it is this philosophy. They're trying to reduce bad numbers, which we get. Our philosophy, though, is about increasing the number of opportunities. So in that same market, our clients would see 500 leads come into the system. And then the question is, out of all the leads you get delivered, how many of those are you going to get a hold of? Like, what is your Octane, right? So out of the 500, if you only get 25% of the data from Vulcan, then what is your Octane on those 125 leads? Well, they got like a 38% Octane. That's really good. But it's only out of 125, which means you get about 47 opportunities. So Onyx has a 44% Octane, which means out of 100 leads, if you call them all 3 times, you're going to get a hold of 44%, 44 of those leads. So out of those same 500 leads, the difference is if you log into our system, there's going to be 500 leads there. If there's 500 on your MLS, there's going to be 500 inside of Vortex. And Onyx will find you phone numbers on 44%. Our focus is on increasing the total number of opportunities you have for expireds. Now, what that means is there's going to be more phone numbers. But when we talk to our top producing agents, agents who are doing $250,000 a year or more, and they're consistent prospectors, and we said to them, look, if we could get you, if there's 500 leads in your market, do you want us to skim that down to be only the best phone numbers possible but reduce your opportunities? Or if we had to give you more phone numbers, but that meant you got a hold of these other expired leads you would have not otherwise contacted, which would you rather do? And they said unequivocally, give us the extra phone numbers. And the reason is they're using MultiLine Dialers and other stuff to rip through those phone numbers. So they just don't care. I don't know if that makes sense.
So basically what you're saying is with Onyx over Vulcan 7, you're basically going to get, if we're going to compare it to baseball, you're going to get more at-bats.
Way more at-bats.
Yeah, way more at-bats.
So
you're going to hit more home runs.
44% of 500 is 215 leads,
yeah, so
right?
you're going to get 4 to 5 times more at-bats.
Compared to 47 leads, because they're only giving you the 125. Yeah. They're filtering out to make sure you don't call anything bad. And what we're saying is, who cares if you call something bad if it means you're going to call a lot more good?
So the question really these agents need to ask themselves is, do they want more at-bats? They want more opportunities to list property, and that's what they're going to get with Onyx when they do it. And let's see what other questions we've had.
Yeah, and
we've had a couple of questions.
Just to restate, our top producing agents have a mindset that is focused on, how many more lead opportunities do I get, and how many good numbers am I going to have? How many real opportunities am I going to have, rather than even being worried about bad numbers? Our top producing agents aren't thinking about bad numbers anymore. Yeah. They're totally thinking about talking to homeowners.
So Matthew Henderson, he asked, services, are they month-to-month or annual agreements? You can subscribe to month-to-month. I'll pay for you guys.
Yeah, they're month-to-month. We do have annual agreements. You just get a discount.
You get a little discount if you subscribe quarterly or annually,
right? But what I would say, the danger in that question, and I'm just being candid here, I'm not the sales guy, but if you're asking about doing something month-to-month, I get it if you're wondering, hey, is the service good? Do they have good customer service or support or something like that? But with new agents, if they're dabbling with the thought of prospecting, it takes agents a while to develop the skills and sales proficiency to become effective at prospecting. And there's some people that do it in 30 days, but, people need to commit and really work at it each day.
Listen to this one. I didn't realize this one, Arthur. Increase your at-bats. Redx gives you emails. You guys are giving me emails? I don't pay attention to emails.
So Arthur may be on Onyx, if he's saying that, or maybe he's asking the question. But in Onyx, in addition to having more data sources, which means more cell phone numbers and relative numbers and other things like that, you're also getting email addresses for the homeowner.
Yeah.
So Onyx isn't just about, better phone numbers. It's also about additional methods to contact, some more at-bats.
And he's uploading them into a custom audience on Facebook. We haven't even talked about being able to contact these people on Facebook. So Author is taking the emails that you're getting, and that's pretty crazy,
that's
man.
That's awesome.
He is on Onyx. That's cool.
Yeah.
So Matt asked a question that I don't. Man, Matt's asking the hard questions.
Matt, you asked a good question that I'm not going to comment on right now. My marketing team is here saying timeout on that. But I guess what I'll say, Matt asked a question about dialers. We love dialers. We built a single line dialer, and we think that dialers provide a tremendous advantage for real estate agents who are using it because it increases their number of contacts per hour. And if you're not making at least 10 contacts per hour, talking to 10 real leads per hour, you need to find a way to jump that up. And one of the ways of doing that is with the dialer. Another way is increasing the quality of your data. And if you've got a single line dialer, adding other lines is a really good way to increase that number too. So we see the value of extra phone lines, Matthew.
So a lot of my group is using dialers, right?
Yes.
So why should they be using?
Smart.
Why should they be using Storm Dialer rather than a third-party dialer?
So again, and my marketing team may kick me for this down the road, but I think the main thing is that you're using a dialer, right? Yeah. I mean, I really believe that. I'm definitely biased. We just built our dialer Storm. It's really smooth. It's one of the fastest single line dialers you
seamless
can get.
integration,
and it's totally integrated with our platform. So it's totally seamless. And one of the problems is whenever you try to transfer information from one platform into another, you always lose a little bit along the way. And we try to reduce that because with all of our integrations, we want a smooth process. But yes, seamless integration. And then I'll tell you the other thing that really matters to people, especially if they've worked with multi-line dialers, is they want to hear the hello on the other end of the line. When they're prospecting, if you don't hear that hello, it sort of can mess with your flow. And so we are totally focused on making sure you hear the hello, regardless of the number of lines that you're using.
Man, I know you're a busy guy. I don't want to take up much more of your time. Henry asked that he's more concerned about having the correct number. I mean, the correct numbers are in there. You might have to call some bad numbers to find the good ones, but you're going to have a lot more numbers in general that are possible good numbers.
Yeah, I think Henry is giving the right sort of idea there. If he's more focused on the right numbers, one way to think of it is casting a wider net, right? And if you want to increase the number of homeowners you're talking to and the number of opportunities you have, you want to cast a little bit wider net. And Onyx sort of does that in order to get a hold of more homeowners.
Yeah, you know what? Arthur said the same thing. He said that he's actually using Mojo, Joe, and it can't be synced in real time, or it has to be synced outside of it. But Storm Dialer, you can basically it syncs in real time.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I think Arthur's right. I don't think we do real-time sync with Mojo, but maybe that's something we can work with Mojo on a little bit more.
Yeah, and William May wants to know about a 6-line dialer. I mean, I don't know if you can legally have a 6-line dialer, but
it's just number of lines at that point. Why not a 10-line dialer?
I guess if you can do 1 or you can do 3, you can probably do 6 too.
Yeah. And Mojo has already.
Maybe he can get 2 subscriptions and have 2 phones. And 3 lines each.
I saw somebody today that was that had 2 instances up of a triple line dialer ripping through some phone numbers. But I think again the main principle people need to stay focused on is how do they increase their number of contacts per hour, and also how do they limit distractions, right? And one of the benefits of a multi-line dialer is besides the rhythm and everything that it creates is it's a little harder to get distracted.
Yeah.
Because the time between live phone calls is reduced.
You got to be on it. You don't have time to be,
So we're
playing around. So, man, I don't want to take up any more of your time. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, just keep rocking on.
Keep
prospecting.
Do you have any other secrets you want to
Secrets
tell?
I want to share? No, I don't think so. That's why we have a marketing department. I think you've pulled enough secrets out of me already. I think that the biggest thing I would say is, look, we're huge believers in prospecting. I think that for the agents who are going through the grind of prospecting each day, keep at it. Don't lose your focus, and keep building your skill set and watching your conversion rates and numbers so that you can list as many homes as possible. You guys are the ones that are moving the real estate market. I really believe prospecting agents are the 10% that are doing. Yeah, they're the ones doing 90% of the work. So
yeah, and they're the ones that are steady doing business. I mean, you don't want to go to a doctor that done one surgery.
No.
You know what I mean? You want to go to the guy that done like 3 today. We got one other question here, man. Then we'll turn it off and let you get back to work. Do you charge based on number of cities we select or the entire county?
So most of our data is done at a county level, but for MLS data, expired listings, it's all on an MLS level.
So you only pay for the MLS that you subscribe to.
That's right.
So if their MLS covers, say, 5 cities, they only pay for that one MLS, right?
You just pay once, and then you reduce sort of from there to just be what you want to work on. So we try to give most of our clients plenty of room, more areas than they need. And in fact, one of the biggest things that a lot of our agents need to do is focus on the specific geographic area that they're working.
Of course. Hey, well, Mark, I really appreciate Mark having me here and let me see everything with Redx. And anyway.
Well, thanks for my first Facebook Live. This was unique.
And this is actually like the first live interview you've ever done, isn't it?
Well, I've done live interviews before, but yeah, not like this.
All right.
Not like this.
Thanks, man.
Okay, thank you guys. See ya.